God bless us, everyone.
Hello, movie lovers, and welcome to episode 18 of our Christmas Carol reviews. If you have not been following along and want to know how we are doing this, be sure to click the link down in the description, and it'll send you right to the intro, and you can get caught up. You can also find the other reviews on my channel if you look around. So today, we have a very, very special Christmas Carol to me. It is a Muppet Christmas Carol. This was the one that I really was raised on. Whenever there was an adaptation that my parents went to or I wanted to go to watch, it was this one. That being said, I tried to be extremely fair in grading this. I tried to have very much a reviewer's eyes and try to see with my eyes, not my heart. So we're going to see how that goes. But just to warn you, there may be slight changes there, but we'll see. So let's get right into it. First off, Scrooge, played by Michael Caine. And Michael Caine was a fantastic Scrooge. First off, when he was evil, he really convinced me that it was evil. The one thing I will say was there was a couple times that he kind of maybe overacted at some point. One of the things that got to me was when Cratchit and in this adaptation, his other workers, which were rats, was talking about wanting coal. He started talking, or instead of saying, if you do anything like this or any sort of thing, you'll find yourself losing your situation. He would say, you'll find yourself on the unemployment line! He would like scream at them, and I thought, okay, Mr. Caine, that's a little over the top. So that's the one thing I really saw was that, and then a couple other sort of instances like that. So I gave him an 8 out of 10 on his Bad Scrooge adaptation. His transformation, this one was great. When he got to the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, he really didn't believe that he was the one they were talking about. He went to the graveyard, and he actually started like begging with the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come before he even got there. We'll get more into that later, but it really showed a progression after that, finding his name and everything. Was like, okay, yeah, he really did change. You really see that he wants to be this new type of Scrooge. And then Good Scrooge, he did a fantastic job. That was a 5 out of 5. And then the one thing I will have to say is I had to give it a 4 out of 5 on True to the Book just for a few minor things here. And that just wasn't exactly there. So 26 on Michael Caine Scrooge. Then we get to Marley. And the one thing I will say is I loved this adaptation. I've always loved their song Marley and Marley, but if you hear what I just said, yes, that was Marley and Marley. So there was 2 of them, and they were played by Statler and Waldorf. So because it was 2, it obviously doesn't follow the book, and it was Jacob and Robert Marley. 3 out of 5 on that one. If it was just 1, it would have been a 5 out of 5, I have to say, but just to be fair, 3 out of 5 on that one. And the way that their song was written, pretty much 90% of what they did was in song. I liked how they worked the words into the books. Mankind was their business, doomed for all time, everything. We're here to stop it, everything. And then at the same time, they threw one-liners of Muppet traditions in there. Like my favorite line, every time I watch it, I always have to text my dad, and I have to say this line where Scrooge talks about the whole belly aching thing and a bit of mustard, crumb of cheese, all that stuff. And they say, leave comedy to the bears. And if you know anything about the Muppets, Statler and Waldorf made their living making fun of Fozzie Bear during his stand-up in the Muppet Show. So I love that line as a Muppet fan. And I love how they added all the book stuff to it. I just thought that was really done. But missed a couple things here and there. So a 9 out of 10 on that, giving the Marley adaptation a 12 out of 15. Now, the Ghost of Christmas Past, if I had to pick a point where this is weak, it would be this one. And the one thing that I did see, 3 out of 5 following the book, first off, there were a couple things here and there missed, like Fan wasn't in it, other things like that. But the one thing they did with Scrooge was they didn't get really his descent into evil Scrooge. He was already sort of stuck up. When they got to the Fozziwig, you can see who played Fezziwig in this one. When they got to the Fozziwig party, he was talking about how it was costing too much instead of enjoying the party. And one thing that the Christmas Carol thing does is it shows you he actually did enjoy Christmas, and then through things that happened with Marley dying and Belle and everything, that he actually descended into evil Scrooge. So it really missed sort of a whole important part of the story while not doing that. So I had to give it a 7 out of 10 on that one. And then at the same time, that there was one part in the movie, and I know this because I've watched it and I've seen both versions, but the Jim Henson Company had one song in there called When Love Is Gone. And when they took it out because they thought it was too sad. They thought there'd be a whole audience that was just in tears, wouldn't really enjoy it. They'd actually hate the movie because of this one song. And when you're going after a children audience like that, I can understand that. But it set up musical themes for the rest of the movie that you just don't get. I mean, it doesn't lose much, just a little bit, but it really seems abrupt in the breakup scene because Belle doesn't sing that song. And like I have listened to it. I've seen the extended version. I've heard the song, and yeah, it was really, really sad. It fit in very well if you were going for more of a darker tone of Christmas Carol. But for a Muppet, I understand why they took it out, but it just lost something. So a 7 out of 10 on the interpretation for that one, giving it a 10 out of 15 overall. Ghost of Christmas Present, 3 out of 5 true to the book. Pretty much had the two main stories in there. It had the Cratchits and it had his nephew, and it also had sort of showing other people, but they did it through a song. But the one thing I will say about this one is I think he has probably my favorite non-book line for this. And when I mean that, I mean it's not a line that was in the book, but something that we can really live by, and it was in his song, what's it called? It Feels Like Christmas. In that song, they always had this line where, what is it? I can't really think of it right now. Anyway, the message, if we hear it, is make it last all year. And it's really trying to get that goodwill towards men, everything that Christmas is about. And if we do it all year round, not just at one time, I really enjoy that line and how it goes through there. And everything right here is set up to how Scrooge already admits he never understood the idea of Christmas, which goes back to that Ghost of Christmas Past, always wanting to think about the money even before all this descent into everything. So, I obviously like it, yes, but with that part, the interpretation kind of lost something when I see it, and that was something I actually saw this time on the review. I'd never seen it before with everything. So a 3 out of 5 true to the book, and an 8 out of 10 on the interpretation just from that, so an 11 out of 15. Now, the one thing I have always absolutely loved from this was the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come sequence, and I have to say it really stood up even while reviewing it. It hit every single point. I mean, it had the people outside the exchange, and this is one thing that I loved about the exchange scene with that. We had a line that would normally be a Muppet funny line, but actually was in the book. And what I mean by that is it was the line about, I will only go if lunch is provided. They turned it into a Muppet line, as in a line that would happen in the Muppets, by making the exchange people pigs. And when they did that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was genius. I'd seen it before, but I mean, just little things like that, now that I'm older and can watch it and actually analyze it, that was just brilliant on that point. Got the old Joe. Did the Tiny Tim scene very well, went through to the graveyard. I already talked about how that went very well, and just the way they did it. And for all three ghosts, past, present, and yet to come, not Marley, but the rest of them, I like how they didn't use Muppet characters. Okay, kind of like how when Disney did it, they did minor or side characters, not main characters. This one, they made completely new Muppets for everything, and all of them, I think, worked very, very well. Now, extra things on here, cinematography, you have to give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, these guys are, every shot, especially with the Muppets, is from the chest up for obvious reasons. Okay, and they make it seem like it's not that way. And then when they do show full Muppets, it's very few times. There's a couple times when they show full Kermit, like maybe walking down the street. The motion with that, everything is just so well done. A 9 out of 10 on cinematography. The costumes, makeup, once again, is one of those where they had great Victorian costumes, but really didn't do anything over the top. So a 7 out of 10 on that one. And then the music. I loved the music. Not just the songs in here, but the actual score in the background. One of the things that really makes the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come work is his little theme that happens. You have tuba going, ba-dum, and then strings come and go, ba-da-da-dum, and they change it around, and then ba-dum-dum-da-da-dum, and the bassoon. So all of a sudden you have this ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum-dum-da-da-dum. It's really both upbeat Muppet-like, but creepy, and it really gets you kind of confused on what is it supposed to be. What? It's just like, whoa. And I've always enjoyed that, so, really, really great on that one. So a 10 out of 10 on the music. The other thing they added to this that I have always enjoyed was the fact that Gonzo is playing Charles Dickens, and he both does the Dickens lines as the narrator playing, the person that wrote the book, and also adds a little bit of Gonzo to it as well. Okay, guys, so that's my review of A Muppet Christmas Carol. Before we go, I do have to mention this one thing just because it's so such a great story that I've heard. Like I said, I've watched this multiple times. I've seen a lot of featurettes on it. This was the first Muppet show of any kind that did not have Jim Henson around anymore. It was the first one he did after he passed, directed by Brian Henson. And the one thing that everybody was worried about was the main Muppet character, which is Kermit the Frog, played by Steve Whitmire. Okay, did a fantastic job. And the one story I've heard about this, I think everybody needs to know, is they were about to record One More Sleep Till Christmas, the big Kermit the Frog scene, and Steve was so scared about all of this. He didn't want to have a bad performance to dishonor his friend or the creator or whatever made him famous and everything. So he was so nervous. And the night before the recording, apparently in a dream, Jim Henson comes to him and says, "You're going to do great. It's going to be fine." He goes in, and up until recently, he has been playing Kermit the Frog ever since this 1992 release. I love that story. I wanted to share with everybody before I went to it. But anyway, if you like what you've been seeing for all this, be sure to hit like down there and make sure to comment and share this with your friends. God bless all of you, and that's a wrap.